Hi everyone, welcome. Welcome to the Key to Female Hormone Balance video series. I'm so happy you're here. So my name is Kendra Perry and I am a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And I know that's a total mouthful and most people don't really know what it is, but basically what it means is that I'm kind of like a health detective. So I use functional lab testing to search for the root cause of my client's hormone imbalance and adrenal fatigue. And based on what I find and the symptoms that that person is experiencing, I design natural drug-free protocols that bring the body back into balance so that it can do its job properly and so that my client feels happier, healthier, and more energized. Okay, so let's jump right into it and talk about hormones. So the reason I am so passionate about teaching women about hormones is because I feel that the information out there about female hormones is wrong. I feel that we are led to believe that the symptoms of PMS and menopause are just sort of a normal part of being a woman. And this really couldn't be further from the truth. And I feel that this information has led many women to suffer unnecessarily. So consider this. Just because something is common does not mean that it's normal. And female hormone imbalance is not normal, and it needs to stop being treated like it is. The truth is, there's a lot you can do to improve your hormone balance. A lot. And you have the power to do this, I promise. And the solution starts with having the proper information to begin with. Okay? So let's talk about hormones. What are hormones anyways, right? So there's up to 50 known hormones in the human body. But in this video series, we're really going to focus on the female hormones. These are the ones that regulate your cycle, the ones that decide whether or not you're going to burn fat or store fat. And these are the ones that we lose during menopause, okay? And these important female hormones are the estrogens, progesterone, and testosterone. Yes, I said testosterone. It's because you need testosterone too. It's not just for men. We need it in certain amounts, and it helps us to feel confident, to have a sex drive, to burn fat, and to gain lean muscle mass. Okay, so back to hormones. What are they? Well, you can kind of think of hormones like the chemical messengers of the cells. So they basically tell all the cells, organs, and tissues what to do. And this is why when hormones go out of balance, things start to go a little haywire. It's because the cells are not getting the proper message about what tasks they are meant to be performing. So wires are getting crossed, signals are getting confused, and you end up with the symptoms. And so it's kind of for this reason that hormones are like a double-edged sword. When hormones are in balance, you feel sexy, energized, and confident, and you handle stress easily. But when hormones are out of balance, you feel overwhelmed, you feel exhausted, you might feel fat, and you don't handle stress well, like you could literally snap at the drop of a hat. Does this sound familiar at all? It might. And I'm not surprised, especially if you're listening to this video series. Okay, so hormones, where are they made? Well, we know that they're made in the ovaries, but what you may not know is they're also made in really significant amounts in the adrenal glands. So the adrenal glands are two pyramid-shaped glands, and they're located on top of each kidney. And as women, we actually really need to care a lot about them. Why? Because as we age and go through menopause, the ovaries shut down hormone production, and we begin to rely solely on our adrenal glands for the proper function of hormones. So if your adrenal hormone production is strong and balanced, then menopause should actually be a breeze. But unfortunately, this is not the experience that most women have with menopause. Most women experience terrible hot flashes, night sweats, and weight gain, among other things. So what's the deal? Why is hormone production in the adrenal glands not happening as it should be? Well, it really comes down to the fact that the adrenal glands have a couple different jobs, okay? So not only do they produce the sex hormones, but they also produce the stress hormones, like cortisol, okay? So it's because of this dual responsibility to produce the sex and stress hormones that makes stress one of the main causes behind female hormone imbalance. Okay, so let's talk about stress. What do I mean by stress? So when we talk about stress, most people will default to talking about mental and emotional stress. Things like relationship stress, financial stress, work stress. We all kind of have a very intimate relationship with this sort of stress. But this is only a small piece of the puzzle. Stress is much more than this. Stress can be anything that affects homeostasis or equilibrium in the body. Stress can be chemical, it can be biomechanical, it can be environmental, it can be physical, or it can be physiological. So examples of these kinds of stresses could be things like food intolerance, which actually creates a huge stress on the body, gluten sensitivity, gut imbalances, candida overgrowth, parasite infections, inflammation, or liver congestion, and there's many more, okay? And any of these things can cause stress on the body and initiate the stress response, okay? So let's talk about the stress response. Okay, so when your body perceives stress, whether it's from mental and emotional stress or from one of these other types of stress, the brain is going to tell the adrenal glands to give off the stress hormone cortisol. So cortisol is your main stress hormone. And when it's given off, it will act like a potent anti-inflammatory, a painkiller, and it'll immobilize blood sugar so that you can react. So cortisol is what allows you to react quickly and efficiently in a time of danger or emergency. And in small bouts, in these kind of short duration stress response, it's actually really helpful. It helps you stay motivated, energized, and on top of your game. And without it, we probably wouldn't get off the couch or get out of bed in the morning. And when it's short term, it's not a big deal because, you know, your cortisol goes up, you have the stress response, but soon when you realize the danger is over or the stress disappears, you go back into that rest and digest mode and cortisol leaves the body, and then your body can be performing business as usual. But the huge problem is when stress becomes chronic. So no human is designed for chronic stress and a stress response that never ends. And so because cortisol is a stress hormone and it's related to survival, okay, it's basically a survival hormone. It means that it's going to get priority over the other hormones in the adrenal glands. So when you have short bursts of stress, your body will always produce cortisol. It'll stop producing the other hormones, but as long as that stress is a short duration stress, then at some point the cortisol will go down and then your sex hormone production will start happening again. But when you're chronically stressed, whether from that emotional stress or something, say like a food intolerance, your adrenal glands are going to always be making cortisol instead of making your sex hormones. So this means that when you're chronically stressed, hormone levels get depleted, they get unbalanced, and you end up with symptoms. So you may be wondering, well, how do I know if my hormones are out of balance? Well, there are some real telltale signs that indicate this. For example, if you have an irregular menstrual cycle, if you have menstrual cramps at that time of the month, if you have bloating around that time of the month, pretty much any symptoms of PMS indicate a hormone imbalance. If you have hot flashes or mood swings going through menopause, this is another indication of hormone imbalance. So I've included a little quiz for you in the email. So I call this my super simple hormone test. And I've listed some of the most common symptoms associated with female hormone imbalance. So make sure to do this quiz on your own time and see how many boxes you check off. And if you notice that you check off more than 2 or 3 boxes, then there's a good chance that your hormones are out of whack and you need to start figuring out what the stress is that is causing this. So you're probably wondering now, well, now I know the true cause of hormone imbalance in females, but what do I do to fix it? So first of all, I just want to be honest and let you know that it does take time. Hormones do not balance themselves overnight, especially if you've spent any amount of time on hormonal birth control or hormone replacement therapy. But there's still a lot you can do, and if you are committed, then you can be successful. Unwinding hormone imbalance really comes down to removing the stress from the body that is affecting the adrenal glands and causing them to make cortisol chronically at the expense of your other sex hormones. So this will involve looking at all aspects of your life, including diet, rest, exercise, and stress reduction. And it's probably also going to involve doing a bit of investigation and potentially working with a functional medicine or nutrition practitioner to dig a little deeper and get some answers. So in the coming videos, I'm going to walk you through some of the most important things that you can do right now to get your hormones back into that happy place. So in video 2, we're going to talk about diet and how to optimize it for your female hormones. Okay, so let's do a quick recap here. All right, so first of all, female hormone imbalance is not normal, despite what you may have been told. The main cause of sex hormone imbalance is stress, and this is because the adrenal glands make both sex hormones and stress hormones. Stress hormones always get priority because they're related to survival, which means that if you have chronic stress, your adrenals make cortisol at the expense of your other hormones. Stress can be mental and emotional, but it can also be hidden in the form of food intolerance, inflammation, or liver congestion, just to name a few. So the key to fixing your sex hormone imbalance is to figure out what types of stress are affecting you and then figuring out how to start removing them from your body. And the first place to start is with the diet. So eating a healthy diet is the basis for any healing program, and hormones are no different. So stay tuned for video 2, which should come to your inbox in about 2 days' time, and we're going to talk about the perfect diet for female hormones. All right, thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to see you next time. Let me know. You can always send me an email. Let me know how things are going, and you can always ask me questions on the Facebook page. I always love hearing from you guys. All right, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.